Welcome to Nurse Educatrix. Today's video is about non-probability sampling method. So if you want to know about probability sampling method, I have uploaded a video. Please check in my playlist. So generally, it is believed that non-random methods of sampling are more likely to produce a lot of bias. So mostly random methods have been observed as a very good sampling method, and non-random methods are not a well appreciated one. But in medical research as well as in nursing research, most of the time non-random sampling method have been effectively used and with a proper purpose. Definition of non-probability sampling. It is a technique wherein the samples are gathered in a process that does not give all individuals in the population equal chances of being selected. So it means in the whole population, very few people have been participating in this research and the rest of them have not given any chance for participating. For example, in this picture, you can see the researcher has taken samples around him, but he left the other people in the population. So this is non-probability sampling method. What are all the features of non-probability sampling method? No equal chance for participation is given. Time limitation in studies may affect probability sampling technique. Subjects are selected on the basis of purpose and availability. As per the purpose and availability, the subjects are selected. It cannot be generalized. What are the uses of non-random sampling method? Study related to particular triad. Used in qualitative and exploratory, or in case if you are going to do a pilot study, you can do a non-random sampling method. When random sampling method is not possible, there are some cases in research where you cannot do a random sampling method. In that situation, you can do a non-random sampling method. Used when the researcher has limited budget. If you have a time and the money limitations, you can go for a non-random sampling method. What are the types of non-probability sampling method? It is purposive sampling, convenience, volunteer, consecutive sampling, quota sampling, snowball, and genealogy sampling. We will discuss one by one in the coming slides. First one is purposive sampling. Subjects are chosen to be a part of the sample with a specific purpose in mind. From the word you can understand it is chosen as a samples are chosen purposively. So it is otherwise called judgmental. Here in this picture you can see the researcher picks somebody who he knows perfectly, who fits his research. In this method, samples are chosen by choice, not by chance. So the others have left without a chance and he has selected only one person. Example, a study to assess the post-disaster depression among people living in tsunami affected area in Tamil Nadu. So he goes and select people who are affected by tsunami purposively. The next one is, what is the advantage and disadvantage of purposive sampling? Most of the advantages and disadvantages in non-probability are same. Simple to draw sample and saves a lot of resources. What is the disadvantage here? Requires considerable knowledge about the population. You should know who may fit your research. So you should have an idea about what population, about the population group. Conscious bias may occur as you are picking purposively and not reliable. Some samples may not be reliable. What is convenience sampling? So convenience sampling method is chosen because of their convenient accessibility and proximity to the researcher. The researcher stays in one district, so his samples will be collected from the nearby area where he lived. So this is called convenience sampling. Most commonly used method as per the researcher's area, maybe it can be a district or a state, or it can be the panchayat or a village. Fast and inexpensive sampling method. It is otherwise called as accidental sampling. So what is the example here? A study on diabetic people visiting an hospital. So the researcher has selected a sample, that is Government Hospital Payyanur, as he is residing near the hospital. So this is an example of convenience sampling. So here in this picture you can see the researcher is just calling somebody who is on the way he meet to join his study. So this is called convenient sampling. The advantage is easy to select and cost effective, less time consuming. Immediately he will get closer by people, saves money and resources. What is the disadvantage? Of course, bias is there, as he is purposively comes only, going to collect the people around him. Sample is not representative of an entire population, because you cannot generalize it to the entire population, because you are going to one hospital and collecting the people's information. Not a true representative, so it is not accepted as a true representative of the whole population and cannot be generalized. The next one is volunteer sampling. So target subjects are informed through a mass media to participate in study, and interested participants may voluntarily contact the researcher. So here what happens, volunteers are advertised and the volunteers are involved in the research. So this is an example here I have given. The researcher, if is interested to assess the effectiveness of a selected yoga technique in hypertension. So what she does is she gives an advertisement for participation in a paper and for a scheduled yoga class. And she does pre and post assessment for the people who are voluntarily participating in that yoga camp. So of course, advantages: needs minimal effort, you just need to advertise and you will get lot of sample. Cost effective, used to collect large sample size. If you want more people to be involved, the advertisement makes it benefit. And disadvantages: sampling bias and error may happen. It's not a true representative because you are not doing it randomly, cannot be generalized also. What is next is consecutive sampling method. So what happens here, it is picks up all the available subjects who are meeting the preset inclusion and exclusion criteria. So usually the researcher sets the inclusion and exclusion criteria in his research, and he picks up all the subjects who are all available in that set criteria, also known as enumerative sampling method. Similar to convenient sampling technique, what happens here, the researcher just takes all the people who is having that criteria. One of the best in non-random sampling methods. So it is one of the best sampling method. A researcher want to study a lifestyle of patient with post-coronary catheterization. He will select all the patients admitted during a month in particular hospital, or it can be a month or a year, but what he does is he just select all the patients who had the angioplasty, and he will do a study on lifestyle of the patients. So this is called consecutive sampling. So whoever met the criteria will be involved in the study. It is almost some similarities between this, with the convenient sampling. So what is the advantage? Very little effort is needed, inexpensive, less time consuming, and more representatives you will get it. And what is the disadvantage? No clarification on sample size and schedule, because you don't know how many people in that month will be getting admitted in the coronary catheterization. So there is no evidence of the sample size, and there is no schedule also, because you may need to extend to next month if the sample size is not enough. No guarantee on enough sample, so we cannot guarantee the enough sample, and lack of generalizability, which is the main disadvantage of all non-probability sampling method. The next one is quota sampling. It is a non-random sampling technique in which the researcher ensures equal or proportionate representation of subjects depending on their trait. So it is as similar to stratified sampling, because here what happens in stratified, you divide them under strata and you will select from each strata. So same like this, what happens in quota sampling, you divide the population under some of the trait like age, sex, education, race and religion, and you will select them. So here researcher wants to study the effectiveness of online education in nursing. So what he does is, since he takes 25 samples from each year in that institution, so you are dividing the nursing students under year base, and from first year 25 samples, second year 25 samples, and you will fulfill the sample size of 100 in each 25 in each year. So here you can see that quota sampling. Here the population is here, and you will select only people male above 50 and you will get the sample size. What is the advantage? Cheaper and suitable for field work. What is the disadvantage? Does not guarantee enough sample. Sampling error and bias is possible. So of course we cannot guarantee the sample size and error may happen. Next one is snowball sampling method. Here snowball, it is otherwise called as chain referral sampling, which is defined as a non-probability sampling techniques which the samples have traits that are rare to find. So usually this snowball sampling is used in case where there is difficult cases. For example, like thalassemia case, you may not easily get it, but one thalassemia patient may have a contact with the other thalassemia patient who can suggest you, in which the existing subjects provide referrals to recruit samples required for the study. See here, the researcher contacts one person. This person gives information to his neighboring or the people who he know, and the other person, he gives the information to the other people. That's how the samples are collected. So here you can see in this cartoon, detective, he is asking for a witness and he is suggesting, as I was cooking in the kitchen, why don't you ask the waitress? So he is suggesting somebody. So this is an example. This is how the snowball sampling happens. So there are two types of snowball sampling method: linear and exponential snowball sampling. Linear snowball sampling, what happens? One person will refer one person at a time. Okay, the other person will refer one. So till they get the enough sample size. In exponential snowball sampling, what happens? One sample refer two or many samples at a time till achieved sample size met. So what is the advantage? Same like the non-probability, quicker to find samples, cost effective, sample hesitant subjects. Some studies that people may not come out with the problem. Okay, in that cases, one person, they may feel comfortable because there are other people and there is a friend in the study. So some sample hesitant subjects, it is a best advantage. Disadvantage is sampling bias and lack of cooperation happens with some sample because it is suggested by the other person. Sometimes they may not be interested. What is genealogy sampling? So here what happens, if you want to study any genetical disorders, the complete family, the entire family or lineage is involved in the research, which is called genealogy sampling. I have given an example here. The researcher is interested to study the presence of oncology disease in a family, and so he will select all the members in that family. So there is difference. What is the difference between probability and What is the difference between probability and non-probability method? The definition, you can write it. And alternative known as probability sampling is alternative known as random sampling, and non-probability is non-random sampling. Basis of selection is random method and here arbitrary method. The results are unbiased in probability and biased in non-probability. Inferences are statistical in probability and analytical in non-probability. Hypothesis is tested in probability method and it is generated in non-probability method. The methods are objective, whereas here non-probability method, it is subjective. So in this video we have discussed about what is non-probability sampling method and its types, and we have seen the difference between probability and non-probability method. Thanks for watching the video. See you in next video.